The story is set at the end of the 21st century. A global chemical weapons war has rendered Earth nearly uninhabitable, making living space the most valuable resource. The only two habitable areas left are the United Kingdom and the colony, which are connected by a massive elevator running through the Earth's core. Amid flashes of light, Douglas slowly awakens and frantically escapes with a woman, fighting back against mechanical soldiers coming at them. He opens an iron window, allowing the woman to escape first, but he gets hit by a tether gun and is pulled back. Douglas suddenly wakes up. It was all just a dream. His wife, awakened by the commotion, lovingly cuddles up to him from behind. She asks him about the dream in detail. It turns out Douglas has been troubled by the same dream for days, though he hasn't revealed everything about it. Later, as usual, Douglas arrives at the elevator terminal and meets his colleague, Harry. The two take the massive elevator to the other side of the Earth for work. Douglas works as an assembly line worker, and today their team has a new employee. Douglas kindly warns him to be careful not to injure his hands. Seeing that Douglas seems friendly, the new employee strikes up a conversation with him. When they talk about a company called Rekall, Douglas becomes intrigued. Rekall offers a high-end virtual experience that can fulfill all your wishes. The new employee hands Douglas a business card for Rekall. After work, walking through the bustling streets on the other side of the Earth, Douglas decides to visit Rekall and try it out. At the company, he thinks it over and decides to experience being a secret agent. However, before the experience begins, a staff member with white hair tells Douglas that the memories he chooses must not be based on his real life. If he's hiding anything, the chemicals will conflict, leading to irreversible consequences. Douglas confirms his information again. But when they inject the chemicals into his body, the white-haired staff member notices something unusual. He immediately orders the team to stop the injection, revealing that Douglas is actually already a secret agent. He then pulls out a gun, preparing to kill Douglas. At that moment, a group of armed soldiers suddenly bursts in, swiftly taking out the white-haired staff and his team. The confused Douglas, hands on his head, looks at the bodies on the floor. Then, without warning, he turns around with clean, precise movements, expertly and lethally neutralizing all the armed soldiers in the room. His instincts take over, and he skillfully takes them all down, even surprising himself with his impressive combat abilities. To prevent more enemies from entering, Douglas quickly shuts the door. Outside, one of the soldiers fires a device, a small camera that pierces through the door and embeds itself in the wall. It instantly spreads, covering every corner of the room, monitoring the situation inside. In this tense moment, Douglas gathers all the grenades he can find and blasts a hole in the wall, allowing him to escape just in time. Douglas, in a panic, rushes home, packs his things, and prepares to flee. Seeing him in such distress, his wife, Lori, approaches to comfort him. However, her grip on him becomes stronger and stronger. After a fierce struggle, Douglas finally subdues her. She then reveals that she's not really his wife, but an agent assigned to monitor him. If he ever became uncontrollable, her mission was to capture him. Douglas tries to question her further, but suddenly the federal police arrive, forcing him to escape immediately. Determined, Lori chases after him relentlessly. During the chase, he encounters robotic police officers and quickly eliminates them before continuing his flight. After a narrow escape, Douglas receives a mysterious phone call. The caller tells him that if he goes to the bank and retrieves a box, he'll uncover the truth behind everything. Enduring intense pain, Douglas disguises himself as a passerby using a phone and manages to evade capture. He heads to the bank, retrieves a safety deposit box, and watches a video. In the footage, he learns that he really was once a federal agent. For unknown reasons, the Federation erased his memories and even altered his appearance. The version of himself in the video tells him to return to his apartment for more information. However, while going through a security checkpoint, the holographic disguise on his head malfunctions, revealing his true identity. Forced to flee, he dashes through the area and jumps onto a highway. Suddenly, a hover car pulls up in front of him, and to his surprise, the driver is the same woman from his dream. After getting into the car, an intense car chase begins. Although the woman from his dream disables a police car, Lori relentlessly pursues them from behind, with a helicopter ahead preparing to fire missiles. At the critical moment, Douglas deactivates the hover car's magnetic system, causing it to fall to the ground and evade the chase. However, The dream woman gets injured during the escape. Douglas takes her to his apartment and lays her down. He then finds a hidden switch in the piano keys, revealing a stranger's face on a screen in front of him. To his shock, the face is his own, his original appearance. He learns that he was once a federal agent working directly for the president, tasked with infiltrating the resistance and killing their leader. But after meeting the woman from his dream, he discovered the truth. The so-called resistance attacks were actually orchestrated by the president himself. His goal was to use them as an excuse to produce more robotic soldiers, then launch an invasion of the colony to seize its living space. Douglas also learns that his brain contains a code that can shut down all the robots. If he delivers it to the resistance, they can stop the president's sinister plan. At that moment, a large contingent of Commonwealth forces arrives, surrounding Douglas and Melina. Strangely, his colleague, Harry, walks in and tells him, "You're still lying in the Rekall chair. All of this is an illusion. If you kill the woman next to you, you can wake up, but if you don't, you'll be trapped in this memory forever." Outside, Douglas's distraught wife waits anxiously. Douglas starts to believe Harry. Suddenly, Melina raises a gun, unwilling to let him be taken, but she hesitates, unable to pull the trigger. Instead, tears of sadness roll down her face. Seeing this, Douglas makes a swift decision. Without hesitation, he shoots and kills Harry. Outside, Laurie drops her act and leads a squad of robotic soldiers in pursuit. A fierce battle erupts between the three of them in an elevator. Just before an explosion, Douglas and Melina leap out, once again narrowly escaping Laurie's relentless pursuit. Melina takes Douglas to meet her father, who is the leader of the colony's resistance. They begin the process of extracting the code from Douglas's brain, but instead of a code, a projection of the federal leader appears. The Commonwealth forces use this moment to locate them, capturing everyone. The resistance leader is executed with a single shot. The federal leader then confronts Douglas, revealing the true story. It turns out that the entire plan was orchestrated by Douglas himself. He was the Federation's top agent, and to make his infiltration of the resistance more convincing, he had his own memory erased. Along the way, he formed a deep bond with Melina, sharing life and death experiences with her. Everything had unfolded exactly as Douglas had originally planned. Stunned by this revelation, Douglas is left in disbelief. The federal leader takes Melina away, instructing the soldiers to restore Douglas's memories. But Douglas, now unwilling to return to his former self, is solely focused on Melina's safety. He breaks free from his restraints and kills all the soldiers in the room. Meanwhile, the president has gathered 50,000 robotic soldiers, preparing to launch a devastating attack on the colony. Douglas arrives at the elevator to rescue Melina, but is captured by the robots. Unable to fight back with human strength alone, Douglas, using his experience as an assembly line worker, quickly removes the robot's battery. At that moment, Melina returns, piloting a plane. Together, they launch a barrage of gunfire, wiping out most of their enemies. The final showdown between Douglas and the president begins. Due to his severe injuries, Douglas, despite being a skilled agent, is overpowered by the president. Fortunately, Douglas had planted a bomb earlier. He detonates it, destroying the massive elevator and seizing the moment to turn the tables and kill the president. As the elevator collapses, Douglas and Melina leap to safety. With the elevator's destruction, the Federation's sinister plot is thwarted, and the people of the colony survive another crisis. At the film's conclusion, Douglas wakes up in an ambulance. Even he is unsure whether he's in reality or still trapped in a memory, but he chooses to enjoy the moment. And with that, the movie ends. It's a great film, and if you haven't seen it yet, I recommend checking it out.